Okay. Um, we have been talking about absolute monarchs and all that stuff, and a lot of times the abuses of power by these people. Um, the ideas of both absolutism, which we've talked about, the divine right theory and everything like that, led to not only a series of philosophers supporting it, but also a series of philosophies that came out of this as a challenge to it. We're going to talk about two important ones. The rest you will work on in the fall. John Locke, who is kind of the founder of American democracy, and Thomas Hobbes, who is much more in favor of the absolutist type of system. Okay, so the origins of these ideas: classical writings of the Greeks and Romans, the direct democracy of Athens, the local rule in the Roman Republic. Renaissance is also there. Humanism, the individual is unique. Secularism, the question, analyze, search for truth, not the non-religious ideas. The rise of the middle class. Wealthy, educated bourgeois begin to demand the right to participate in government, and their influence is on the rise. And finally, the Protestant Reformation, which disrupts this Christian unity, questions authority, and breaks the hold of the Roman Catholic Church on the people. Okay. Other things that help influence this: religious persecutions, forcing people to worship in the church of the king, denial of freedom of choice, imprisonment at random, executions at random, the Spanish Inquisition and the other Inquisitions, the injustices that were put out there by these absolute rulers, suspending laws, overtaxation to pay for wars and palaces, overindulgences of the aristocracy, the Palace at Versailles, and the divine right theory. And then finally you have the scientific revolution comes in, proving ancient beliefs false, the geocentric and the heliocentric, getting people to question more. And then you have the printing press, which makes the spread of information all possible. Okay, Enlightenment is a period in the 1700s in which people rejected traditional ideas, supported a belief in human reason. The belief that logical thought can lead to truth is called rationalism, and the Enlightenment introduced new ways of viewing authority, power, government, and law. And these thinkers that come out of this, they're called the philosophes, a group of intellectuals who spoke out against government, laws, religion, science, and social conditions. They proposed new ways of acting and thinking. And many of these guys are the scientists like Newton and Galileo that we've already talked about. But the two most prominent thinkers of the age are Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. Okay, Thomas Hobbes lived around 1650. He wrote a book called Leviathan. He says human nature makes it impossible for men to rule themselves in a democratic manner. Men were too quarrelsome. The general population is too ignorant. He referred to them as the unwashed masses. Men need a ruler with absolute power to ensure stability. Okay, an absolute ruler would ensure peace, security, and justice for all. People make a social contract, he said, with the ruler that cannot be broken. If the people obey the laws, the ruler will protect and govern them wisely. The best government in Hobbes' mind is the absolute monarchy. Okay, doesn't always work out that way, as we've seen, as we've looked at the rule of some of these absolute monarchs. Okay, Locke is on the other end of the spectrum. He develops the theory of natural rights. He says all men are created free and equal. All men have the right to life, liberty, and the ownership of property. And the government has to protect these rights. But here's the thing that's the difference with Locke and any of the other guys. And this is the ideas that the founders of America take and run with. Okay? He says if the government does not protect the people's rights, the people have the right to abolish it and establish a new government. Jefferson writes this right into the Declaration of Independence. Locke promotes rebellion. Rulers receive their power from the people, not from God. And then, like I said, this is the basis for the Declaration of Independence. Man's knowledge is shaped by his experience. He says we're all born with tabula rasa, or a blank slate. The conditions you grow up in will determine what kind of person you are. Society makes man good or evil, so change society to make men good. Education develops reason and develops good citizens. All of these are some of the backbones of the American way of life, of the democratic ideals that our country was founded on. Okay, education, change things for the better, protecting the rights of the people. Power comes from the people. Okay, so all of these things come out of the Enlightenment, and they lead to, on the heels of this absolutist age, an age of revolution that you will work on in the fall. Okay, so complete the Google form quiz, and we will go over some more information on this in class.